everyone, I'm Kylie So,
And I'm Risa Jezzo.
and our class is the Chicanx and Latinx in film. Within this, she put the class into different modules. So we first started off the week one with representation and other, where we learned about intersectionality and how intersectionality is the intersection of race, gender, class, so what makes up your identity. Module 2, we learned more about representation, where we read a Stephen Spencer reading. Module 3 was we read an article on Valdiva, where we had to watch a clip of from a movie, and we had to write an essay on like the stereotypes that happen within the clip. Module 4 was more about the basics of the cinematography. So we learned different types of shots, camera movements, lens height, camera angle, lighting and color, and score, which is the music part. And after every module, we have a test. Module 5, this was more where we started to learn about stereotypes of women in film. This was one of my favorite parts of the class, where we read Made in Hollywood, which talks about how women in film are either maids or seen as the spicy Latinx. Module 6 is where we started learning about the ways of feminism. With that, we learned the Chicanx rights movement, and also we learned how females started getting rights to votes and more rights as we went on. And then module 7 is the second wave of Chicanx cinema. This one was more about how women even within their rights, even as their genders, women, they have different classes and different races, and that differentiates with them. And I forgot to mention in module 6, we did a whole class timeline of different historical events and critical events that relates to social movements. And then module 8, we learned about intersectionality and contemporary Latinx films, where we started to learn more about the machismo and toxic masculinity, where we watched the movie La Mission, which was a very moving movie, which it had started off with a really macho father that had a gay son, and we watch how he goes through life with that. And then module 9, we started talking about documentaries and all sorts of them, and I got to write about my favorite types, which is true crime documentaries, and that was what assignment 9 was. And then module 10, we'll talk about that.
Okay, so for module 10, what I learned was specifically about Lourdes Portillo's Señorita Extraviada film, and we watched her interview and talk a little bit more about her film and about what she was trying to accomplish. The movie itself, well, the documentary, it was about the disappearances that were happening in Juarez, Mexico, and she wanted to find like the true story of what actually happened, and just like give voice to those women who didn't and to those women's like families who like were too scared to speak out. And then I also think that the Sander, the proximity of hearing the urgency of now, that that article, honestly, it provided a lot more in-depth context about like the film Señorita Extraviada, and about the whole movement about Ni Una Más, and really just like raising more awareness about what was happening. And I think what was very interesting was their symbol for those disappearances, which is the pink cross. And I thought it was really interesting that they chose it because that's it has a lot of like different interpretations, and um it also had like it was in connection, like the disappearances were also in connection with the Catholic Church, which is why I also thought it was like really interesting that they made that as a symbol. And yeah.
Quick question. I wonder, do you know why they have, like, they could be seen different ways, like you said?
Oh, yeah. So what I meant by that is um because the cross itself could mean like many different things to different people. So it can mean like um it could mean a symbol for uh, like of hope, or like some it can people can find comfort in the cross, and people like especially in Mexico there's a lot of religion and there's a lot of belief in the Catholic Church. And but it can also, I feel like it can also be seen as a way of holding the Catholic churches doing with like their correlation with the missing people, missing women in Juarez.
Nice. Okay, I like that a lot. Okay, so that's basically where we are so far within this, throughout this year so far. We are still working on a Google site to talk about exactly all the assignments we did throughout the year. And so we are now just finishing off. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Bye.